got a number of things to get into on today's episode. Josh Giddey wants to be an all-star. We got trade rumors around Coby White and what the Bulls' asking price is for a potential Coby White trade. And it's not probably what you're expecting. So we're going to talk a little bit about that and why Coby White's name keeps being one of the hottest names around the trade deadline. And we're going to preview tonight's game against the Minnesota Timberwolves. All that and more right after this. What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. I'm the host there, Hayes, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get into this content today, y'all. And yeah, man, we got a number of things to get into. We're going to talk about Josh Giddey and his desire to be an all-star this year, even though I'm not going to lie to you, and this is no knock on Josh Giddey. I want to be clear. This is not me trying to shit or crap on Josh Giddey at all as a player. We know the importance that he's had to this team. I've been a Josh Giddey defender when people were talking mad crap, about, letting him walk and stuff in the offseason. So not coming from a place at all of being like a Josh Giddey hater, but all this talk around the All-Star, I just want my team to win, right? Like, am I the only one that kind of looks at this a little bit, and it's not to say it's cringe, that'd be too strong, but like, win some basketball games. Now, I know we've worked ourselves back to being only one game below 500. We were at 500 before the loss to the Bucks. We can get back at 500 here. So, it's not like the team is not winning, right? But I just think at a time like this, and we'll get into the interview. He was asked about being an all-star. So it's not like he just came out where, people are like, oh, what about that loss to the Bucks? And Josh Giddey was like, oh, well, let's talk about my all-star bid here. But I think for this, right, I get it. Being an all-star and being named as an all-star is an honor. And it is something that, that players do appreciate. Whether they give the effort in the all-star game or not is a different, equation. And that's just kind of a problem with the all-star game overall. But being named as an all-star is still an accomplishment. It's just I have a hard time really getting into that aspect and that part of things while my team has been getting their ass kicked. And it's just a little bit of a struggle for me there. That's where the Bulls fan versus the Bulls content creator, there's a difference in that, because as a content creator, right, I talk about everything with the team, all the news, all the rumors, everything surrounding the team. We talk about it all year long, right? But as a Bulls fan, some of this sometimes be like, hey man, fuck all that. Are we winning? Or are y'all locked in? Have y'all been preparing for the Minnesota Timberwolves? But for what it's worth, Joe Cowley was interviewing Josh Giddey in regards to potentially being an all-star. He said this: I've always believed that I've had the talent and ability to be at that level. I guess it took a new situation to finally unlock who I am as a player. I give a lot of credit to the teammates and coaches to put me in position to be successful. I want to be an all-star. Everybody inside the locker room wants to be an all-star, but you got to be able to do that inside the team and win games while trying to do individual things as well. Winning solves everything, and all the individual stuff comes after that. So Josh Giddey has the right mindset. And like I said, he was asked about being an all-star. It's not like he turned a different conversation to an all-star bid or anything like that. And I love Josh Giddey's response. Josh Giddey's response is very much in line with like my thinking. Like, win basketball games first. If you win at a high level, right? People always talk about, well, how the Bulls are going to win without a multiple all-star. You'll be surprised that once you start winning, how many of your players that may even be fringe all-stars start getting named as all-stars, right? So you got to win basketball games. And for what it's worth, Josh Giddey on the court has been an absolute dog. Like, almost 20 points per game, 9 rebounds, 9 assists on 47% shooting from the field. That growth that he had three-point shooting-wise last year has gotten even better. He's taken an additional 3 than what he was last year, which last season was already the most threes of his career, and he's hitting it with almost 2% better clip. He's almost 40% three-point shooter, 31 games into the season, which is great. That's huge to see from Josh Giddey and what he's been able to do. He's also averaging a steal per game as well. I would like to see him get those turnovers a little bit down, but overall, Josh Giddey's playing really well. He's only missed 2 games so far in the season also, so that's a good step for Josh Giddey. He played 70 games last year. He's almost halfway there already. He'll probably be about halfway there. But no, not going into the new year. He should have about 32, 33-ish games under his belt. So, all those things are going good for Josh Giddey. And He should. He is putting up all-star caliber numbers. I want to be clear there. But one thing that will solidify that, win more basketball games. But what is the competition for Josh Giddey? What's the path for Josh Giddey to be an all-star this year? I think you got to look at it, right? So the NBA is doing it differently this year, right? So you're having Team World versus Team USA. So, you're having a lot of international players all on one team. And so when you look at it right now, right, I think when it comes down to what is it? Is it 8 players that are going to be on the international team, if I'm not mistaken? You got some locks that are going to be there already. Nikola Jokic is going to be on that team. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is going to be on that team. Luka Doncic is going to be on the international team. Victor Wembanyama is going to be on that international team. Giannis Antetokounmpo is going to be on the international team, right? So that's 5 players right there that are already going to be on that international team. There leaves 3 remaining international spots left for players like Josh Giddey. So who are the players that are in that running for those last 3 international spots? Alperen Sengun is having an absolute killer of a year, putting up great numbers. When you look at that Rockets team not having point guard and what he's jumped and how he's evolved as a playmaker and a hub for them, not quite at the Jokic level of playmaking as a big yet, but he's taken really big, huge steps. And with the Houston Rockets being 19-10 on the season and the 4th seed in the Western Conference, Alperen is getting in, right? He's getting in there. Next up, Franz Wagner. Now, the question when it comes down to Franz Wagner comes down to his health and things like that. And that's a question when it comes down to that, because of his inability to be healthy. I think that's probably going to hurt Franz's case also. So because of that, Franz may not get in there, right? But he could be, right? So that's 2 of the 3 remaining spots. And then you kind of have Josh Giddey. And I think that's a fair case to be made for Josh Giddey. Jamal Murray's probably another one that will qualify, because if I'm not mistaken, let me look it up real quick so I'm not talking out the side of my neck, but if I'm not mistaken, Jamal Murray's Canadian, right? So I think that will put him in that spot as well to be one of those players also that may get an international spot. So because of that, like it's going to be a battle. And Josh Giddey has his work cut out for him to get that. Now he's putting up great numbers. And so it comes down, if it's going to come down to Jamal Murray versus Josh Giddey for that last international spot, which it very well could, then you got to look at what Jamal Murray's having a great season himself, averaging almost 26 points per game, almost 7 assists per game, and 4.4 assists. It feels like this is finally the season Jamal Murray's going to get over that hump and be named an All-Star. He's played in 30 games this season, so there's that part of it. He's been out there, he's been available, he's been healthy. He's shooting the ball 48% from the field, 45% from 3, which is a career high for himself as well, with a career high of attempts at 7.7. So it would be with the record, right? With Denver Nuggets being legitimately one of the best teams and a championship contender, even though Josh Giddey is averaging a near triple-double, it may be hard for Josh Giddey to get in over Jamal Murray considering. Now, if the voters do look at it and say, well, Jamal Murray's playing off Jokic, and there's an aspect of that makes the game easier for you. Josh Giddey is playing with Coby White and these guys, and not to say that those guys are bad, but they're different. They're not the same level of talent that the Denver Nuggets have. Then you may have to look at that, right? So we'll see. I mean, Josh Giddey is taking care of the part that he can. His numbers are really good. I would love to see the wins stack up for the Bulls. And, if the Bulls go into, can get into mid-December, where the voting starts becoming a little bit solidified. I'm sorry, mid-January. I said December, mid-January with a winning record, maybe that increases his chances. So, Josh Giddey getting an all-star bid, shout out to him. I mean, I hope that he's able to do it. I would love to be able to say a Chicago Bull is an all-star. But the thing that I love more than being able to say that is that this team is actually looking like they're trying to fight their way out of the play-in and actually make a 6 seed. How about talking about that? Again, that's just my fan brain. That's not the content creator. That's not even me trying to be objective. That's just me being a fan. I want to talk about more wins, and then we can talk about some all-star nods. But let me know what you guys think on that down below. Does Josh Giddey have a chance to be an all-star this year? When you look at specifically how the international teams work, and when the names that I gave, it really will come down to either does Franz not make it because of his injury stuff, or does Josh Giddey get in over Jamal Murray? Let me know what you guys think on that down below. With that said, I want to get into this continued Coby White stuff that we've heard, right? So we did hear that the Bulls are expected to be one of the biggest sellers in the Eastern Conference. We've also heard before a direct, quote, I think from Mark Stein was, the guard market starts with Coby White and Ayo Dosunmu. So take that for what you will. I do think there is some sensationalism in that because writers, they got to do that to get people to click on the headlines, right? But we've heard one of the deals that we heard talked about was Jonathan Isaac and some second round picks. That came from Brett Siegel as well for Coby White. I hated that deal. And apparently AK and the Bulls front office also hated that deal because per now Brett Siegel, he says this: the Bulls are holding out for an unprotected first-round pick if they do move on from White. They hope to start a bidding war per league executives to maximize their return. The chances of them landing a lottery pick are just about non-existent, however, regardless of how many rival teams they pit against each other. Considering that only contenders will be in the market for a rental like White, it may not be impossible for Karnisovas to extract a late first-rounder and some other assets, but it's already clear the game-changing pick the Bulls need isn't coming. So there's a couple of things to take away from that. One, the Bulls want an unprotected first-round pick. No duh, no shit. That should be it. When we talked about the Jonathan Isaac, the multiple second-round picks, and some of the other stuff going on, yeah, there was no doubt. That's why I didn't like those deals. If you're going to move Coby White, say what you will about Coby, you need an unprotected first-round pick. That's period. Especially if it's a contending team that already is going to be outside the lottery and they're trying to strengthen their chances to make to win a championship. Yeah, look at that part of it, right? So, that's a thing that comes down into all of this as well, is that, the Bulls aren't just giving away Coby White. And some of the deals that I've seen rumored and stuff like that have been nothing less than pure asinine. And so I get it that some Bulls fans are down on Coby. It is what it is. We're not even here to have that conversation anymore. But it seems like the Bulls hold their value at, we need an unprotected first-round pick, because they realize you're probably not going to get a amazing player with that. Now, I will say this. When you look at this draft, there are some very talented big men that are going to go very late in this draft. And if that's the case, if the Bulls can pick up an additional first-round pick to get that big, I'm not mad at that. And I know people are going to say, oh, my God, we need a top 5 pick for XYZ. Go and look at some of the best bigs in the NBA, the most consistent bigs, and you see those guys aren't always taken with lottery picks. Some of the more heralded big men in the draft that do go high up, they end up suffering from injury concerns or they end up having disappointing seasons. Some of the big men that go sub 15 are some of the best big men in the league, right? So that's something. I wouldn't necessarily be mad at that because I do think it increases the Bulls' chance. More bites at the apple. This is a deep draft. There are going to be players that are taken 16th through 20 that end up being maybe even day one starters, right? So I'm not mad at that. I still think that it comes down to this, though. We know that AK is looking for value. And while the value that many people want for Coby White, including myself, may not be there on the at the trade deadline, you also have to factor in he's an unrestricted free agent at the end of this season. And that could lead you to a place to where you got to take the best offer available if you feel he's not going to return here, or if you know you're not going to pay him. Same thing we've been saying for a while. But this is the first time that we've heard that the Bulls are holding out for unprotected first-round pick and do plan to play other teams' offers against each other to get the best deal. That's what you do when you move a player that like a Coby White. That's what you do. You want to make sure that you are getting the best deal possible, or there's no deal. Again, because the unrestricted free agency, that could change that a little bit. So I'm not surprised in hearing that, right? Now, the question then becomes about this is that if they move Coby, could Coby become another one of the players that the Bulls move and then look back on it and say, well, damn, look at what this player turned into. We just didn't provide the right environment for that. And then you may have to look again at your loyalty to Billy Donovan and how that has continued to hurt you and your evaluation of certain players over these last few years. But that's a story for another day. We'll talk about that. But overall, it continues being what we've heard, is that it really does seem like the Bulls are at least open to listening to offers for Coby White and open to listening to all offers. And at some point, if that changes from listening to offers to an outright shopping, that would just be an interesting on what the next steps then are for the Chicago Bulls and what they plan on getting back as far as a return. Are you getting a young player and an unprotected first-round pick? Or are you just getting the unprotected first-round pick, salary matching, which, then may not be long-term salary. You're just taking on, expiring deal or shorter-term salary. There are a lot of different avenues and routes that the Chicago Bulls can go, but still pump your brakes, because that full blow-up that people have been asking for still looks like it's not coming anytime soon, and it probably shouldn't either. But, we'll see how that continues to work out for this team. But overall, as things stand right now, Bulls want an unprotected first-round pick for Coby White, even with him being a one-year rental with being an expiring contract at the end of the season. And we shall see what that means for the Bulls, what that means for the other teams as well, and what happens there. So let me know what you guys' thought down below. Is that the right place that the Bulls are starting at, wanting that unprotected first-round pick? What would you want back for Coby White? if you were to move him. And, again, not saying if you want to move him or not, but if you were to move him, what return would you be looking back as far as assets, a type of player, something like that? And keep in mind, you're probably not going to get everything all at once. You're not going to get your starting center of the future for moving Coby White. Probably not. If they can, great. But the chances, probably a little bit slim there. So we'll see how that works out. But the Bulls do have a game tonight coming up, and this one is against the Minnesota Timberwolves. This is a chance for the Chicago Bulls to bounce back after a loss to the Milwaukee Bucks. They're hosting the Minnesota Timberwolves at home, and the Timberwolves are coming into this game fully healthy. Minus Terrence Shannon Jr., who is out with an injury, they're fully healthy. The Bulls are going to be without Zach Collins. So already to start off this game, you're taking away one of the Bulls' best weapons that we've developed lately, and that is the double big lineup. It is not the same with running Vooch and Jalen Smith, and because you have no other backup big to play him, you're probably not going to do that unless the Bulls decide to call on Lachlan Albrick to come in and give us some minutes, which I wouldn't necessarily be mad at that. But with that said, so you're probably looking at that double big lineup going away. Patrick Williams is probably going to assume those minutes that are some of those minutes that are going to be left by the void of Zach Collins, and you take that for what you will. So that's already the Bulls being down one of their major weapons that developed here. But when you look at this Minnesota Timberwolves team, the Bulls got to be on their P's and Q's. Over the last 10 games for the Minnesota Timberwolves, they are 6-4. They have the 11th best net rating in basketball, the 7th best defensive rating, but the offensive rating is 22nd. On the season, though, they have the 9th best offensive rating, so we already know what they can be. They've been missing some players with injuries at times. They're the 9th best true shooting team in the league, as well as the 9th best effective field goal shooting percentage. This team don't miss. They shoot the ball really fucking well, and that's what the Bulls are going to have to look at and be, on top of in this game. Get the rebounds where you can. They're the 14th best rebounding team in the league. Over the last 10 games, though, they've been the 12th best rebounding team. The Bulls are going to have to fight for every single rebound because this is a team that is going to go try to get second chance points. They are going to go after putbacks. They're going to do all those things. So they're 20-12 on the season. This is no joke. And so now we'll see if the Bulls can avoid, once again, playing down to a level of competition. Or no, they can't play down to the Minnesota Timberwolves. If they can play up to this level of competition, the Bulls get up for games like this. And so I want to see what this team comes up with preparedness-wise. Giannis embarrassed you on your court. You're now on your home court again. Do you want to allow Michael Jordan's son, Anthony Edwards, to embarrass you as well? Do you want to allow that? I hope not. So hopefully the Bulls come out of here with some pride. I had been saying with the Bulls winning streak, the thing that I really wanted to see from this team was who steps up, right? After you lose, how do you step up as a team? How do you respond? Do you keep that energy that you've been playing with, or do you get down on yourself again and start pressing? That's what I really want to see about this team. Defense, limiting turnovers, efficient offense. Those are the three things that the Bulls have to build their pillars off of for this game. Otherwise, it is going to be ugly. You got Anthony Edwards coming in here, averaging 30 points per game almost. He is going to cook you if you allow him to. And so I don't expect you to stop him by any stretch of the imagination, but can you force him to an inefficient night? What do you do with Rudy Gobert, Julius Randle, these players who've been playing big? They got some depth with the big with Naz Reid also. What do you do there? That's what you have to look out for this team. And hopefully the Bulls come into this one prepared because Billy Bubblegum Donovan better have this team ready to play some damn basketball, because if not, it's going to get ugly, and it can get ugly quick against this team. So lock in. Defense, give total effort, give energy, get those rebounds, get out in transition naturally, use your pace to your advantage, use your depth to your advantage as well. Keep throwing those waves. The starters have been selling for the last 2 games in a row, one of those games being a loss. We need big games from Coby White, Josh Giddey, Monas Buzelis. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. We need these guys locked in tonight, and we'll see if we can do it. The bench is going to probably show up and do their job. Typically, they have been. Don't want to take it for granted, but typically, they've shown up to do their job. We need those starters to come in with the right energy to set the tone early. And if they do that, the Bulls can compete in this game. And we'll see if they can get a win as well. But let me know what you guys think on that down below. We got one voicemail to get into today. This one is from Sherrod.
What's going on, Hayes? This is Sherrod again, man. I called a couple weeks back. I only got 3 minutes to get it off, so I'm going to get it off like this. My biggest issue watching them is they are who their records say they are, man. It's always been that way, and it's going to always be that way. And I look at the front office, I think it's their fault. Because in the context, they don't know what the hell they do. They don't understand what direction they want to go in. They don't understand how they want to construct and build this team. Now they're finna, everybody's up for sale. Everything's about to flip. So you're going to get 3 chances at trying to do what? To put what together? Because in the same context, you still got Billy Donovan, and he ain't had a winning season in 6 years, or he had one winning season in 6 years, and that was in 22. If the front office don't know what they want to do, and they don't understand what direction they want to go in, then we do them regardless. You draft projects every year that takes 3 to 4 years to develop, but you're not going to rebuild. When everybody know a good rebuild should take 3 to 4 years. So if you're not rebuilding, you should be drafting players that's going to put you in position to help you now. Kind of shooting yourself in the foot. Like, I don't understand what they're doing. I never hear them talking about building a championship team because they have no idea on how to do it. We got history that shows us that to build a championship team, it takes certain types of players. There is a certain type of way, a DNA, to build a championship team. It's always been proven throughout history. Our people don't have any idea. And you have to be able to see the change in the league. The league went from small ball to big ball, and y'all was behind the turn on that. We just started doing the double big line up, and shit, fans been asking for that for years because we can see what's coming and y'all can't. And just see us in purgatory, man, going through the same thing over and over again, and we in trouble with AK and Eversley leading the pack because they not competitive as a front office. And if your front office not competitive, you in trouble and doomed nonetheless. That's all I got to say, man. No, I got a lot to say, but I ain't got time to say it in 3 minutes, so I'll call back later. I'll holler at you, bro. Peace.
I think people sometimes confuse rebuilding and blowing up a roster, right? Rebuilding can take time, over time. You can rebuild over time. You look at some teams that done that. Denver did that, right? They didn't just blow everything up. They rebuilt over time. OKC did it with a series of moves, trades, all those type of things. You rebuild over time. So I do think they are rebuilding. Now, I will give you this, right? The Bulls taking players that are projects isn't necessarily a problem to me, but those projects got to hit, and they haven't. Dalen did not hit. He just didn't. Julian Phillips was a second-round pick, so I'm not going to hold that against them as much, but Patrick Williams didn't hit. Modest was. He looked pretty good. Io wasn't really a project pick, but Io's developed really well under this Bulls team too. Noah, I mean, he's lost for the season, so we don't know quite yet, right? But if you're going to take these projects, they better hit. And the problem with the Bulls have been we waited 3 or 4 years for them, in the cases of Dalen Terry and Patrick Williams, for them not to turn into anything. I'm not mad at the Julian. In the second round, you want to take an upside pick like Julian Phillips. I'm not mad at that. But for the other two, they haven't really developed into much to where you can bet on them. So there's that. But I'll also say this. There was not a singular move that the Bulls could have made that would really have changed our destiny much from where we are. But I think that with AK, to your point, and with Billy Donovan, you gotta sometimes you have to take players with high floors. And that is what AK has kind of missed at times. And hopefully now he starts seeing that as well. Like, start picking some players with high floors, and maybe the ceiling's a little bit lower, but at least at minimum, this player is going to turn into an NBA player or this caliber of player, and we'll see what happens there. So definitely can be better at that for sure, and we'll see if the Bears can the Bulls can start getting better like the Bears got better at that, right? But that's it for me for today, guys. I appreciate you guys for tuning in, man. If you enjoyed the show, make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, drop your thoughts in the comment section as well. You can follow us at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform we're on. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. bullscentralpod@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the #1 spot for everything Chicago Bulls related, but that is thanks to you, lovely and beautiful people. And like I like to end every episode on, go Bulls. Love you guys. See red if you can, y'all. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.